Hey y'all, what's up? It's Erica, and welcome to my podcast, Faith Forward with Erica J. Fields. Hey everyone, welcome back to the sixth and final episode of season 1 of Faith Forward with Erica J. Fields. I can't wait for season 2 in the new year. And if you've been enjoying the podcast after this episode, please go ahead and leave a review in the review section on whichever platform you're listening from. So we've been in a 3-part series on how to wait on God, how to wait on God's promises to be fulfilled in our lives. And it's Christmas time, so what better way to explore how to wait than to use the narrative of the birth of Jesus Christ. In part 1 of this series, we learned from Mary, the mother of Jesus, who showed us that in our waiting on God's promises to be fulfilled in our lives, that we should believe, be a willing participant in the work of God, and find someone who understands the journey. And then she also teaches us to give thanks in our waiting. Give thanks for what God is going to do. In part 2 of the series, the shepherds remind us to stay in position or get in position for some of us to do what we've been called and assigned to do, to look for the signs and follow God's instructions, to testify about what we've experienced God doing and what we've seen him do. And they also, like Mary, teach us to give thanks. On this episode, the 3rd part of the series, 2 very special people we don't talk about very much in Jesus' story teach us a few golden nuggets about waiting on God's promises as well. They teach us to wait, worship, and witness. So let's get into it. There are 2 elderly people in the Bible in Luke chapter 2, verse 22 through 38, who were among the few who the Bible identifies as people that had the great privilege and honor to see baby Jesus. They were both faithful servants of the Lord. Simeon had a promise that he would see baby Jesus before Simeon, would die. Simeon teaches us to wait, and he also teaches us to be faithful to God in our waiting. The Bible says in verse 25 of Luke chapter 2 that he was righteous and devout. He waited to see the promise of God. Now, Anna was a prophetess, and she too was a faithful servant. The Bible tells us that when Jesus was brought to the temple as a baby, she was able to witness the promise, the gift, the fulfilled prophecy of Jesus Christ. The Bible tells us that as she lived her life in waiting, she spent her time fasting and praying and worshiping God. Worship is our response to who God is. And there's something about worship that takes our focus off of our circumstance and places our focus on the God who can control the circumstance, on the God who can do exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ever ask, think, or imagine. It was because of Anna's faithfulness, her heart of worship, and her experience, her being of old age, that she was able to see God's promise for humanity manifested in the earth. See, I said earlier in part 1 of this series that sometimes it feels like God is just taking too long. Such a long time. But can I tell you that God's timing is working for our good? Because in this particular narrative, God needed a credible witness that could confirm that the Messiah had arrived, that the promise had been fulfilled. In that culture, in that society, the word of the elders were respected. And Simeon and Anna's testimony, their witness, could be trusted because of their life experience. Let me tell you, that for some of us, God is waiting. The wait is so long because he needs our life to be a credible witness. There are some people that won't believe what God can do until they hear your testimony of what God did in your life, how he made a way for you, how he comforted you in your darkest hour, how he allowed you to overcome a season of struggle, how he performed a miracle in your life. And Anna and Simeon teach us just that our testimony means something to someone else, that our testimony lets others know that if God did it for us, he can do it for them. When we witness God working in the life of others, it helps us not only to believe, but see who God is and what God can do. You know, there's so many names of God in the Bible, and a lot of them come from instances in the Bible when people experience God in a new way. And they would name a place or a moment by who they learned God to be in that moment. Like Jehovah Rapha, a healer. Jehovah Jireh, a provider. Jehovah Shalom, the God of peace. My favorite one is El Roi, the God who sees me. Wow, there's something so special about being seen and to know that God knows your name, that he cares about everything about you, from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet, that he knows the number of hairs in your head. The Bible says that God is perfecting everything concerning us, that the work that he is performing in us, that he will complete it. That is the God we serve. And that is the God we wait faithfully in expectation for his promises to be fulfilled in our lives. Jesus was the promise worth waiting for. And if you have a promise, let me tell you, it is worth waiting for. And as you wait on your promise, let's be reminded by Mary, by the shepherds, by Anna and Simeon to believe, to give thanks, to look for the signs, to wait, to worship, and to witness, to testify. Listen, fam, I hope this blessed you. And if it did, please share this with someone who you think needs to hear it. I will meet you all right back here in the new year for season 2. Until then, faith forward. Let's go.